What is it, a heart attack?
I don't know. I'll tend to him. You tell the pilot to turn around and get this flying hotel back to Baltimore double quick.
Yes, sir.
Bronson, can you hear me?
Ned, help me.
Yes, Bronson. We're heading back to Baltimore.
No, too soon.
What do you mean?
Ned, I need the 24 hours to solve a murder.
A murder? Isn't that a little more in my line than yours?
I wanted to prove I was as good as you. Had to make up for being saved in France.
Bronson, you've brooded about that since then?
Listen, someone on board is a murderer. They killed a customs agent named Gerald Weltner.
Weltner? I think I read about that in the papers.
A star witness in a congressional investigation into corruption in the U.S. Customs Department. Weltner was going to expose foreign agents and Americans who were bribing customs officials.
But how does that...
June 22nd, about 9:30 p.m., Weltner was found sprawled across the ottoman in his townhouse. $10,000 in crisp new bills were on the floor. He was poisoned.
But what's that got to do with the Condor?
A challenge. A 24-hour trip to find the murderers and get the proof.
But why me? I had nothing to do with Weltner's death.
Just to show you I could do it. But now, I need you.
How?
Get the evidence. Expose the killer before the plane touches down.
But we're headed back to Baltimore. We'll be there in 30 minutes at the most.
Then hurry. Now that they all know that I'm onto them, you can never get them together again. Play them against each other. You'll get the truth.
But how did you find out all this?
Weltner was my son.
But I thought you never married.
Illegitimate. The product of a brief fling I had with a chorus girl. I watched over him. Got him the position at the Customs Department. Before he died, he managed to phone me.
What did he say?
He rattled off a list of names. But he was out of his head from the poison. Talked as if all of them killed him. The police had no lead, so I arranged this fight to catch the killer.
Bronson, this is crazy.
No, listen. There's a reporter on board, Vera Simmons. She can help you. She's been following the congressional hearings, and there's my notebook.
Notebook?
My detective's notebook. In my nightstand. It has all the information on all of them. May help.
But who do you suspect, Bronson?
Get the evidence, Ned.
Bronson! Who is it? Who is the murderer?
Is he dead?
No, he's still breathing, but he's no good for the rest of the flight.
What do we do, sir?
You tell the captain to get this bucket back to Baltimore as fast as he can. As for me, I've got 30 minutes to find a murderer. There was little I could do for Barnard now. I had to get to the bottom of this case before the Condor landed, and that meant getting to know the passengers as quickly as possible. The galley was small, but had everything to cater to the worldly taste of a guy like Barnard. I also noticed several storage cabinets and closets that seemed to have everything necessary for the smooth operation of a class act like the Condor. Miss Simmons, Barnard said you could be trusted. I need some information about the Weltner murder. What did the...
Who do you think I am, the local librarian? Dig up your own story, Peters. I'm working.
Well, pardon me for breathing, sister. Look, I think we're both on the same side. You want to print the truth about Weltner, and I want to nail the murderer. If we can help each other, why not?
Oh, sort of you show me yours and I'll show you mine, huh, Peters?
Look, I just need some basic information. In return, I've got some juicy stuff that you can't get anywhere else. Something that'll have your readers jumping out of their skins about. So what do you say? I'll even go first.
Okay, shoot. But this better be good.
You tell me. You ready for this? Weltner was Barnard's illegitimate son. He never said anything about it, but the old man always looked out for the kid while he was growing up. Barnard pulled some strings and got Weltner the job in the Customs Department. Weltner was mixed up in this bribery business, and he was killed for his trouble. Barnard set up this whole excursion because he thinks the killer is on board. Now, because of his condition, he asked me to do what I could before the plane lands. And there you are.
You expect me to buy that? I mean, do I have sucker written on my face or what?
Suit yourself. But you know as well as I do, a bright reporter could corroborate that story. And you gotta admit, it's just a little too wild for me to make up.
You have a point there, Peters. Okay, what do you need to know?
Just how was the body found? And I mean the details the police have.
The police got an anonymous call about 9:30 p.m. A man telling them a murder was in progress. When they arrived, Weltner was already a cold fish, sprawled over an ottoman with $10,000 in new bills at his feet. I mean, they still had the bank wrappers on them. Federal Trust Bank of Durham, North Carolina. A glass of sherry was on the mantel. The residue in the bottom tested positive for mercuric chloride, enough to kill 3 men. There had been some sort of scuffle. A desk lamp was smashed and the papers from the desk were scattered on the floor. The telephone was off the hook and the receiver was near the body. The coroner said death occurred at about 9:45, but the poison could have been given up to 6 hours earlier. So anybody who was there from 3:45 on is a suspect. No witnesses have come forward, and that's about where the case stands. Any help?
I'll let you know. Keep that story I told you under your hat till after we land, okay?
Yeah. But if you crack this case, I get an exclusive on the story, okay?
You got it, doll. I found myself in the aft observation deck, which had been designed like a garden room with live plants and a potted palm. I could hear tropical birds, but as I looked around, I couldn't find the source. No doubt one of Barnard's gadgets again. Lady Waddington, I'd have thought you'd be with the rest of the guests. There's quite a party going on in the forward lounge.
Mr. Peters, I am most disturbed about the circumstances of this voyage. Now, I was under the impression that this was an exclusive occasion. Well, imagine my surprise when I saw the guest list. Why, there are hardly any people of social standing aboard. I mean, really? A motion picture actress and that nasty little Hindu man. He has been harassing me for weeks, and now to find him invited on what should be the social event of the season. I can understand. Weren't you and Mr. Bernard previously acquainted?
Yeah, we flew together during the war, but we haven't been that close. I'm a private detective, so we run in slightly different circles.
Oh, my, how interesting. Are you along for business or pleasure?
A little of both, Lady Waddington, a little of both. A fellow was murdered down in Arlington a few weeks ago, and I'm just tying up a few loose ends. It seems a number of the guests aboard today were acquainted with the deceased, Mr. Gerald Weltner. Ever heard the name?
No, I don't believe I have. But then sordid things like murder never happened in polite society. However, that vulgar Russian woman seems capable of almost anything, if you ask me.
Now, the forward lounge looks like the place to be. A bar, tended by a big Belgian named Henri. A 4-piece combo that could really blow a tune. Room to dance. And enough tables and chairs to throw a real party.
Senor Cabron, I think they are playing your song. Shall we?
Con gusto, Marushka. You read my mind, my lady. Shall we go?
My dogs! I declare that wango or tango or whatever you call it is the most disgusting exhibition of loose morals I have ever witnessed. And believe me, I am no prude. I swear.
That broad is a real pip. Who died and made her god, anyway?
Oh, never mind her, Nettie. Hernando can really cut a rug, don't you think?
Yeah, he's a regular Arthur Murray. What's his story, anyway?
I don't know, really. It's kind of strange. I know he hangs out at the Club Marquis. When he does the tango, everybody is really impressed. But I was talking to that Vera girl, and she said he was really some kind of mining engineer from Spain. Copper, I think. Just think, all those pennies from a guy with that cute little mustache. Anyway, she said he was here on some kind of mining business. I didn't know there was a copper mine in Baltimore.
Wanda, you're a gem. So the Casanova's really a mining engineer. What the heck does that have to do with Weltner? The forward observation deck was a large cabin with high-backed recliners facing windows that gave a great view out the front of the plane.
Ah, Senorita Dunn, won't you join us? We were just enjoying the view.
Why, thank you. Isn't it romantic? Flying off into the sunset on a simply gorgeous airplane like this? But I expect to look around and see Charles Boyer at any moment.
Enjoy it while you can, Miss Dunn. We should be landing back in Baltimore soon.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Why can't we just go on to Lisbon anyway? The steward says Mr. Barnard was feeling much better. And I've heard Portugal is simply heavenly this time of year. Isn't that so, Mr. Cabron?
Oh, si, Senorita. Portugal is a balmy land, indeed. However, I am sure your American South is muy bonita, no?
Oh, I suppose, but, well, I was so looking forward to being somewhere besides Durham during the tobacco harvest. Between the dust and the humidity, well, North Carolina in the summer is only fit for the health and the livestock. Perfectly devilish on a delicate nature such as my own. Charles, he's my baby brother, you know. Charles said, now you go off and enjoy Europe, and I'll see the plantation. But now, that's all ruined. So is Mr. Barnard feeling any better?
Oh, boy. This gal has seen too many D.W. Griffith movies. I thought this kind of flower of the South had wilted long ago. I kept trying to imagine what a Dixie Belle from Durham, North Carolina had to do with Weltner's death. Wait a minute. Simmons said the $10,000 found near the body were still in wrappers from a bank in Durham, North Carolina. It's a safe bet Dunn was bribing Weltner, and probably the very day of the murder. Miss Dunn, it was you who killed Gerald Weltner. You can't hide behind that innocent Southern Belle facade any longer. I've got the goods on you, and now you'll pay for your crime.
Whatever are you talking about, Mr. Peters? I have never even spoken to the man.
Oh, no? Then how do you explain $10,000 in new bills from the Federal Trust Bank of Durham, North Carolina, found near the body? Listen, doll, when you're bribing somebody, you really ought to be more discreet.
Now, you stop this nonsense. You are embarrassing me. I must talk to you. Alone. Mr. Peters, oh, you've just got to understand. That's not the way it was, not at all. Please, please believe me, I didn't kill him. He was alive when I left.
Tell it to the judge, sweetheart. You'll have plenty of time.
No, I didn't do it. I admit I was bribing Mr. Weltner to keep those damnable cheap foreign cigarettes off the market. It was my brother's idea, really. But murder? Never. It must have been one of the others.
Others? What others?
Well, it was a regular parade all afternoon. I mean, I wasn't the only one there, you know. I actually went there at about 3:30 in the afternoon. I parked the car down the street a bit. I was nervous. Well, I'd never been involved in anything like that before. So, of course, I didn't want anybody to see me. Well, sir, just as I was about to get out of my car, a taxi drove up. And do you know who got out? That Japanese man, Mr. Kudasai. He was inside for about 15 minutes. Plenty of time to poison somebody, if you ask me. Then, after he left, that English snob, Lady Waddington, drove up and went in. And then that shifty little man from India, what was his name? Mr. Mater. He comes sneaking across the lawn and knocks on the door and goes in. I thought I was going to be there all day, I swear. Anyway, there must have been some kind of a fight, because the next thing I know, Mr. Weltner is throwing Mr. Mater out, and I mean head over tea kettle. Anyway, Lady Waddington left soon after that, so I went up to the door and I rang. Mr. Weltner let me in, and, oh, believe me, he was alive and well, I assure you. He seemed very pleased with himself, leaning against the mantel, sipping his sherry. He gave me a cold chill just to be in the same room with him. Now, I gave him the money and left as soon as I could. About 6:30, as I recall. Please believe me, I didn't kill him.
Okay, I believe you already. Just shut up. So, Kudasai, Waddington, and Maida all saw Weltner before he died.